In a classroom, all the male and female students were enthusiastically exchanging clothes with each other to prepare for April Fool's Day. When a female student announced that the game would begin, the boy Jam-gu immediately raised his hand to show that he did not want to participate in this game. His classmate Jang Hee-won heard this, dropped her chalk, and expressed helplessness. Because the #1 model student in the class could not fit in with everyone after just transferring schools, Jang Hee-won quickly started a chant so that everyone would call out the name of Kim Ram-woo, hoping to encourage him to join, so the boy had no choice but to announce he would play with his classmates. The female game master also said that because the trainee teacher did not know their names yet, they would surely be fooled. This name-swapping game would help them get closer to one another. After that, the female student Hai-won announced the start of the name exchange game between boys and girls. A while later, it was Jeong Hee-won's turn to change names. A girl began to draw a winding maze and stopped at the name of Kim Ram-woo. So right after that, the boy had to exchange names with his classmate Jang Hee-won. And this girl would also occupy the name Kim Ram-woo until the end of April Fool's Day. Later, when recess came, Ram-woo immediately ran to Class A7 of his friend Lee Hong-seok to play board games, because this was also the only friend Ram-woo had at the new school. And this classroom was also playing the wig-wearing game to celebrate April Fool's Day. When Lee Hong-seok asked about the girl who had exchanged names with Jam-gu, the boy said she was strong and a bit thick-skinned. At the same time, Jang Hee-won was rushing out of school with her best friend Yeon Tae-kyung. Then they ate spicy rice cakes together. Next, they showed off their skills in the tablecloth pulling game. But the mischievous girl failed. Even though she was very confident, as soon as the game ended, an upperclassman praised her, saying she was so cute. "What is your name?" The girl confidently replied she was Kim Ram-woo. After that, when class started again, Jang Hee-won was still absent, so the trainee teacher asked about the empty seat below. The classmate said it belonged to Kim Ram-woo. Just now he had stomach cramps and went to the infirmary. The boy Jam-gu actually heard this and choked on the water he was drinking. So the naughty girl went everywhere, introducing herself as Kim Jam-gu. A little while later, as soon as she stepped out of the convenience store with Yeon Tae-kyung, the two of them saw a chubby male student being bullied by some thugs. So Jang Hee-won decided to sacrifice the milk box she was drinking and threw it straight at the head of the gang leader. After that, she and her friend fled the scene and accidentally dropped the nameplate of Kim Jam-gu. Later, when gym class came, the upperclassmen started paying attention to the cute girl below and shouted out Kim Ram-woo, making the boy Ram-woo really unable to finish his jump. He felt full of embarrassment when those older boys asked him to date them, and Jang Hee-won also smiled once. A little later, Ram-woo gently went to tell his classmate Jeong Hee-won that they only exchanged names to tease the trainee teacher, right? So in places where there was no trainee teacher, there was no need to use the other's name, so he thought she didn't need to take it so seriously. Jang Hee-won also said, "I only introduced myself as Kim Jam-gu a few times anyway." At this moment, when a girl came looking for Kim Jam-gu, both of them raised their hands. This girl announced that some kids from the neighboring school were looking for Kim Jam-gu at the school gate, but watch out, they might kill you. Then she threw the nameplate of Kim Jam-gu to prove her words, so the boy realized this was the trouble that Jang Hee-won had caused. At the same time, outside, the male students in the school were kneeling in front of the street thugs from the neighboring school. Jang Hee-won also explained to Ram-woo that she had only acted out of chivalry because she saw those bullies oppressing the weak. When the boy was about to go report to the teachers, Jang Hee-won stopped him and declared she would take responsibility for what she had caused. But because the enemy outnumbered them, she asked the two boys to help her a little. When Jam-gu asked how to help, Jang Hee-won took out some marker pens and asked which animal he liked the most. Then Jang Hee-won confidently faced the bullies and declared herself as Kim Jam-gu. The gang leader then demanded the girl compensate for his luxury jacket that had been stained with milk. When the girl suggested just putting it in the washing machine, they burst out laughing and asked, "Who do you think you are?" The leading girl and her two friends began to roll up their sleeves, but not to fight, rather to show the animal tattoos on their bodies. While the two girls chose tattoos of a tiger and a cobra, the male student chose a polar bear with a slogan calling for environmental protection, so the bullies laughed loudly to mock them. When the leader asked if their mothers knew they drew such things, Jung Hee-won replied that her mother was already in heaven. They immediately felt uncomfortable for dragging the deceased into their insults. They agreed not to involve parents when insulting each other. When Ram-woo said he also had no father, the bullies again felt pity and lowered the punishment, suggesting they just wash off the expensive jacket with pricey detergent. But the leading girl announced she only knew how to use cucumber soap. While the bullies were showing their displeasure, the supervisor appeared and asked if they were the ones smoking here. So the bullies quickly ran away. And Jung Hee-won also smiled at Jamgu once because the mess was solved. That evening, the gentle boy waited until after midnight to erase the tattoo, calling for environmental protection. But no matter how much he scrubbed, the cute bear did not fade one bit. Ram-woo remembered the pen Jung Hee-won had used, which had the words long-lasting ink written on it, making the boy feel helpless. Meanwhile, Hee-won printed out the picture of the three of them with their tattoos and pasted it into her memory book. But her younger sister, Hee-yu, said her big sister was just keeping a record of her dark history. The next day, his friend Lee Hong-sik used his phone to take a picture of Ram-woo's environmental protection tattoo, so the boy grabbed the phone and the two wrestled tightly. At that moment, two girls came over and lent Ram-woo a book about boys, love, titled The Sweet Man, saying, "We didn't expect we had the same taste. We thought you were just a bookworm." Lee Hong-sik immediately acted coy when hearing those words, but Ram-woo didn't understand what the two girls meant. Then the boy read the bulletin board and realized that Jung Hee-won had used his name to borrow a pile of books about adolescent sexual exploration. His friend Lee Hong-sik also teased him because everything had been borrowed under the name of Kim Ram-woo. And the two boys, love fangirls, were overjoyed that they had found someone with the same reading taste as them. Despite the boy's explanation that it wasn't him who borrowed them, the two girls still kept chasing him closely. That evening, Jung Hee-won went to receive goods from a seller on the second-hand market with the nickname Lee Hori, but that person turned out to be Jamgu. The boy handed over the bag and suggested Jung Hee-won check the goods on the spot. The girl said he was really bold. He had written on the second-hand market that he was too shy to wear it, so he was selling it, yet he still dared to ask her to check a reverse gen jacket made in Japan right here? Ram-woo hastily put the item back into the bag and explained. It was because his mother was selling it, but she had fallen asleep, so he brought it here instead. He told her to check it at home, and if there was any problem, his mother would refund her. After that, the boy clumsily picked up the trash to throw away. But Jung Hee-won still pulled the item out and declared she would sympathize with Jamgu's unusual hobby. The boy then stepped back to leave and asked Jung Hee-won not to tell anyone at school about this. After that, when Jung Hee-won had just arrived home, the girl immediately took out her phone to leave a very satisfied review for the transaction earlier and wrote, "Thank you for the quick deal." Meanwhile, when Kim Ram-woo got home, he saw his mother still sleeping, so he sat down next to her. Then when he covered his mother with a blanket, the boy noticed a notification on her phone, so he also read Jung Hee-won's message but pressed to block her account. The next day, Ram-woo entered school and saw Jung Hee-won carrying the shopping bag she had received yesterday. So throughout the class, the boy kept staring at that bag. When he saw Jung Hee-won drawing shapes that looked like lace fabric, he became very worried. But the girl was only designing the menu for today's meal. A while later, while playing board games with his friend Lee Hong-seok, Ram-woo looked down and noticed his friend Yoon Tae Kyung blowing out the candles on a birthday cake and receiving the gift bag she had bought last night. The girl didn't hesitate to take out the reverse gen jacket and laughed happily with Yoon Tae Kyung. The friend casually tried the item on herself and played around with it. Lee Hong-seok saw this and scolded Ram-woo for not giving him useful information. If he had known today was Tae Kyung's birthday, he would have had an excuse to get to know her. A little later when class resumed, the teacher advised all the students to be careful when chatting with strangers on social media, because recently people had been selling alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs there. A female student said she had met a pervert buying secondhand goods online. When Jeonho Hyewon said she had also met someone like that, Ram-woo immediately stood up and shouted no. So the teacher agreed and said, "Ramwoo is right. You must not share personal information online." Then the boy led Jeong Hee-won behind the school to talk and gently asked, "Did I do something wrong to you? Because I feel like you're threatening me about what happened last night." When Jeong Hee-won asked what kind of person he thought she was, Ramwoo replied that she was the kind of person who could do that. He begged her to keep last night's matter a secret. When the boy was about to walk away, Jeong Hee-won asked him to help her with something. "Let's continue to swap names, like on April Fool's Day. Do you know how many points I got on the English test that day? I just guessed, and still got 70 points. When I went to eat spicy rice cakes with Tae Kyung, I was given free eggs, and there were even 2 yolks. I always wondered why my life suddenly became so lucky that day. It seems that when I exchanged names with you, you shared your luck with me. You know names affect fate. After swapping names with me, didn't you feel anything different?" Ramwoo recalled all the troubles that had happened to him that day. Then Jeong Hee-won continued, "My father went to have my fortune read. The fortune teller said my fate lacked wood, so I would always struggle in love and never achieve anything great. But your name changed my luck that day, so it suits me very well." Ramwoo said his name didn't mean wood but meant owning a hill. Jeong Hee-won replied, "Wasn't it true that trees grow on hills? I'm getting goosebumps." Although she spoke with many reasons, Jeong-gu still didn't accept this name exchange. But when school ended, the girl rushed over and called herself Jeong Hee-won. When classmates informed her the teacher had called Kim Jam-gu to the office, the girl stood up with the boy and impersonated him to go to the office. Even Dusi. In gym class, Ramwoo lost his turn when the teacher called his name. Even in science class, the teacher called the boy Hai-won and told him to wake up the girl Kim Ramwoo. When it came to the exam period, the boy unconsciously wrote Jeong Hee-won instead of his own name. Thus, the teachers at school kept calling Jeong Hee-won as Ramwoo. And whenever someone called Jeong Hee-won's name, Ramwoo stood up to respond as if accepting it. That day, when introducing parents to one another, the teacher even confused who was Ramwoo and who was Jeong Hee-won. Jeong Hee-won's father apologized when his daughter had stolen the name Jam-gu to use everywhere, so Jeong Hee-won also nodded to apologize to the boy's mother and son. The teacher then announced the main topic of the meeting and presented a newspaper showing that Ramwoo had been praised for helping an old woman, so she had donated all her assets to the school to fund scholarships, and Jeong Hee-won had achieved outstanding results, so she would receive this scholarship. The father was very surprised that his daughter, who only caused trouble, was receiving a scholarship, so the teacher corrected that it was Ramwoo who would receive the scholarship. But Jeong Hee-won would also receive a certificate of merit from the Department of Education for helping the old woman. After that, Ramwoo and his mother left. The mother felt very happy, not because her son received the scholarship. He had never had friends because they always had to move houses. But the school had called her and said her son had caused trouble with friends, so she had felt nervous. She had seen luck arrive since the beginning of April. At that moment, Jeong Hee-won's father and daughter were walking behind them, so the two parents realized they lived in the same building. A while later, Ramwoo and his mother stood in front of a restaurant that seemed closed. Then, Jeong Hee-won's father and daughter arrived and said, "This place isn't closed yet. The scrambled eggs with tomatoes here are delicious." When the mother asked if he was a regular customer here, Jeong Hee-won's father replied that he cooked that dish very well. Immediately after, the father went into the kitchen to cook and served the dish to the two guests, saying he would treat Ramwoo and his mother. When the two diners praised the dish endlessly, the father also introduced that he had opened this restaurant since Jeong Hee-won was little. If the two had any questions about the area, they could call him using this business card. So the mother was very pleased to have moved here because there was a good restaurant nearby. And her son also had an energetic friend like Jeong Hee-won. The mischievous girl listened and said she was also very happy to meet Lee Hori. Ramwoo heard this and became flustered, quickly diverting his mother's attention. At that moment, both parents wondered why the two children had exchanged names, but both remained silent. The next day, her friend Yoon Tae Kyung had the same question when shopping for clothes with Jeong Hee-won. The mischievous girl said she felt very happy exchanging names. Then she told her that recently she kept receiving gifts of cakes from girls. Tae Kyung said those gifts were placed in the locker for Kim Ramwoo. They thought he was a bookworm, but unexpectedly, many girls liked him. Seeing Jung Hee-won's uncomfortable expression, Tae Kyung asked if she was jealous. "Do you like Kim Ram-woo?" Jung Hee-won immediately denied it firmly. After that, when the two were about to leave the store, Jung Hee-won noticed a yellow dress. That evening, she wore the dress to take out the trash and kept glancing around waiting for Jam-gu to appear. But a passing car splashed dirty water onto the dress, so Jung Hee-won had to wash and hang it. At that moment, her younger sister Hayu reported on the second-hand market that the cereal she liked was being sold. Someone in the apartment had mistakenly ordered 11 boxes instead of 1, so they wanted to resell them cheaply. Jung Hee-won quickly checked the post and saw the seller schedule the deal at the apartment's trash collection point, so she put on lipstick and curled her hair, making her sister suspicious. So Jung Hee-won pushed her sister out of her room. Then, seeing the dress still soaking wet, the girl hurriedly looked for an iron, but had a drawer fall on her foot painfully, yet she didn't cry out. A while later, Jung Hee-won wore the dress and stood waiting at the transaction point, very excited when someone spoke from behind. Suddenly, the seller was a priest in a cassock, so Jung Hee-won had to take the goods and walked away sadly. But then Jam-gu appeared and asked about the wound on Jung Hee-won's foot. The girl insisted she was fine. With a cheerful face, she gradually realized she had developed feelings for Jam-gu because in her mind he was always present, and her diary was filled with his name on every page. The next day, when Jang Hee-won was sitting in class, her best friend came over and said a girl named Bang Ji-soo from grade 10 was looking for her. Jang Hee-won was confused by the unfamiliar name but immediately realized when Yoon Tae Kyung flicked her shiny smooth hair to indicate the type of person. Then the younger girl also flicked her hair right in front of Hee-won and said, "Because my handwriting isn't very pretty, my friend asked you to write a letter for him." "You decorate so beautifully." Hee-won asked Ju which service package she wanted to use. Because there were many different types from basic to platinum, Ju replied that she wanted to buy the platinum package and money was no problem. Then the girl handed the letter to Jung Hee-won to read through its content. At this moment, Jung Hee-won realized that the person being confessed to in the letter was Kim Ram-woo, which made her hesitate as if she did not want to take on this job. She even told Bang Ji-soo that she did not know whether Kim Ram-woo would like such a way of confessing feelings. Hearing that, Ji-soo was about to change her mind and switch to confessing directly to make it quick. But Jung Hee-won stopped her and said writing a letter would be a much better idea. The underclassman happily agreed and took out money from her pocket to hand to Jung Hee-won, then flicked her hair once before turning around to leave. Jung Hee-won immediately called Ji-soo back and asked whether the girl wanted a traditional or modern style, so Ji-soo said that she knew Jam-gu best and should just do it in the way he liked. That evening, Jung Hee-won sat at the desk to write the letter but could not concentrate at all because she felt unhappy that someone had asked her to write a love letter to him. Several days passed, and Jung Hee-won still could not write anything decent, with dark circles like a zombie and no brightness at all. Yoon Tae Kyung urged her friend to finish writing quickly. Except for the girl Ji-soo who came to class every day to look for her, even so Jung Hee-won still could not write and asked her best friend to make excuses to tell Ji-soo that she was not in class. Saying that, the girl pulled her jacket over her head and quietly left the classroom. Thus, whenever Ji-soo came looking, Yoon Tae Kyung found all kinds of reasons. She said Jung Hee-won had taken sick leave and gone to see a teacher. Or worse, that she had been in a traffic accident. The two best friends were always on alert, afraid of being caught by Ji-soo, so Yoon Tae Kyung suggested Jung Hee-won confess to Kim Ram-woo once and get it over with. If she got rejected, she would be sad for a while, and that would be it, nothing that heavy. If things kept going like this, who knew when the girl Ji-soo would leave her alone? Jung Hee-won still flatly denied that she liked Kim Ram-woo and refused to accept her true feelings. While they were talking, they were seen from the other side by Ji-soo, so Jung Hee-won hurriedly climbed onto the window and went into the school corridor. She used all her strength to run away from Ji-soo's pursuit, even run, spawning straight into the boys' restroom. When Ji-soo went in and opened stall after stall to check, the students in the yard below were shocked. because they saw Jung Hee-won somehow falling down and lying flat on the ground. After that incident, the school called home to report that Jung Hee-won had intended to commit suicide at school. Kim Ram-woo's mother also worried, thinking Jung Hee-won must have had many unspoken troubles to act like that. Only Kim Ram-woo thought the mischievous girl had never been normal for a moment, so jumping off was not too surprising, which made his best friend Lee Hong-seok scold him for being too insensitive and not thinking of others. The next day, everyone in class was whispering about Jung Hee-won's jumping incident. Yesterday, the girl was sitting blankly when she received a note asking about her health from Kim Ram-woo. After reading it, Jung Hee-won just sat there grinning foolishly to herself like someone a bit dazed, which made the other students even more frightened. A little later, Jung Hee-won and Yoon Tae-kyung had to face the school beauty to discuss the letter. Jung Hee-won explained that since it was the platinum package, it took a bit of time to write. Also, she wanted Jisoo and Kim Ram-woo to truly become a couple, so she was putting all her heart into it. Now there was only exactly 1% left to finish. Jisoo spoke up to ask, "Do you like Jam-gu?" Jung Hee-won immediately froze because she had been hit in the heart and forced a smile to cover her embarrassment. She even dragged Yoon Tae-kyung in to back her up and insisted she really hated Kim Ram-woo, to avoid Jisoo's suspicion. But the more over-the-top she acted, the more suspicious the underclassmen became. Jisoo thought Kim Ram-woo was a handsome, tall young man with adorable crescent moon smiling eyes, so who would not fall for him? Yoon Tae-kyung cut in and said Jung Hee-won had a disc herniation and therefore hated tall boys. Jung Hee-won chimed in, nodding that she hated boys who smile, and that there was absolutely no such romantic feeling happening. Jisoo smiled in satisfaction and made a sly remark. Then that was great, because she feared people who did not know their place aiming at him. So could she get the letter now? It was in her class, right? Because she had said only 1% was left. So Jung Hee-won walked step by step slowly, with wobbly legs, leading Jisoo to her classroom, and reluctantly handed the letter to her. Jisoo eagerly opened it and saw the letter written in a classical script style on a plain white sheet. Jung Hee-won explained that since the content was so touching, she thought it did not need much decoration. Jisoo gave an awkward laugh and asked what the remaining 1% was. At this moment, Jung Hee-won took a sticker album from under the desk and slowly searched for a suitable sticker to put on the letter. After a while, the girl decided to choose a heart-shaped sticker in a mustardy yellow to stick at the end of the letter for Jisoo. After finishing, Jisoo happily took the letter and ran off, without knowing that inside, Jung Hee-won's heart had shattered into pieces. Yoon Tae-kyung could only place a hand on her best friend's shoulder to comfort her. Jung Hee-won also said that best friends were more important than having a lover, because dating was not necessarily good and was a waste of time. Moreover, constantly getting together and breaking up from school to working life was unbearably tiring. Only friendship remained steady over time. Yoon Tae-kyung agreed, because when in love there were too many things to do and too many anniversaries to remember. Jung Hee-won nodded in agreement and believed that the relationship between Kim Ram-woo and Jisoo could not last long. No sooner had she finished speaking than Yoon Tae-kyung announced. It looked like Jisoo was preparing to confess down in the yard. Because around the two of them there was a sparkling effect, just like in a romance drama. Jung Hee-won, who moments ago had boldly said she did not care, was now squeezing the bread packet in her hand before throwing it to the ground and running out. She did not even bother to take her crutch to support her leg but hurried down the stairs and rushed outside, shouting, "Number!" then fell flat on her face right where Jam-gu and Jisoo were standing. The boy worriedly asked what was wrong. As soon as Jung Hee-won stood up, Jisoo asked, "Why not?" The girl's mind raced and she announced to Kim Ram-woo. She liked him, but the boy said he liked Jisoo, so Jung Hee-won switched plans and declared, "Did she like you, Jisoo?" And Kim Ram-woo also accepted this as the truth and said, "Then they would be friends forever." Jung Hee-won continued to change tactics and intended to point out a chili flake stuck on Jisoo's tooth to split tea. He pairs feelings. But Kim Ram-woo chose to ignore it and kissed Jisoo on the lips, so Jung Hee-won next imagined Lee Hong-sak would be the one to split the young couple. But Kim Ram-woo suggested that from now on he would play with Jung Hee-won and continue to be a couple with Jisoo. and Jung Hee-won would have to play board games with Lee Hong-seok. After that, the girl continued to think up 99 other ways to stop the confession, but none of them worked. Suddenly, a male student kicked a ball that hit Jung Hee-won on the head, causing her to faint, and Jam-gu carried her to the school infirmary. The boy also explained to the nurse that lately, Jung Hee-won had been behaving very strangely. A little later, Yeon-tae Ik-kyung brought the crutches to the infirmary and announced that Jisoo had successfully confessed to Kim Ram-woo, and everyone was cheering, which made Jung Hee-won sigh helplessly because now it was too late. That evening, the girl hobbled home on crutches, and Kim Ram-woo ran after her, worried about whether Jung Hee-won might have a concussion. Then he handed her a letter and asked if Jung Hee-won still accepted commissions to write letters. Even though Jung Hee-won said she had closed down and shut the shop, Jam-gu still shoved the letter into her hand and said, "Then before you close, write one last one for me. You know my handwriting is terrible." While this was a very important letter, Jung Hee-won opened it and saw the recipient's initials were GS. She thought that was the school beauty Jisoo, so Jung Hee-won decided to charge 40,000, ignoring Kim Ram-woo's puppy face plea for a discount. But Hye-won added another 5,000 won for being detestable. Saying that, the girl sulked and left without staying to explain a word. She went home crying while writing the letter for the hateful Kim Ram-woo. Though she did not want to write it at all, Jung Hee-won still kept a professional attitude and tried to finish it quickly. After writing, Jung Hee-won reluctantly brought it for Kim Ram-woo to see and said that she valued their friendship, so she had specially done it at the platinum level for him. Kim Ram-woo thanked her and opened the letter. And what met his eyes was the unfamiliar name Jisoo. The boy turned to ask who this person was, and Jung Hee-won replied that Jisoo was his girlfriend. When Kim Ram-woo clarified that the initials GS stood for Jung-suk, Jung Hee-won asked which class that girl Jung-suk was in. The boy said Jung-suk was his mother's name because she did not like others calling her by name. This was not a love letter but a birthday letter for his mother. Hearing that, Jung Hee-won was as happy as if she had won the lottery, and even declared she would not take payment from Kim Ram-woo. Though he did not understand what was going on, the boy still thanked her and stood up to leave. And Jung Hee-won hurried after him to ask about Jisoo's confession the day before, and heard Kim Ram-woo say that he had refused because he wanted to focus on studying to keep his scholarship. Upon hearing that, Jung Hee-won could not contain her joy and patted him on the shoulder in praise, saying Jam-gu was a hard-working, family-loving person, even taking the letter back and announcing that she would rewrite it at a Diamond Dragon level, guaranteed to be top of the top, the kind that would only make one cry with emotion. Then Jung Hee-won hobbled off on crutches, leaving Kim Ram-woo standing there bewildered, unable to understand what that mischievous girl was thinking. On the day of filling in personal information to submit to the school, Kim Ram-woo felt no happiness when looking at the family member's box because he could not have a complete family like others. And when he heard Jung Hee-won tell her best friend that she had fabricated her mother's job as a national intelligence agent so the homeroom teacher would not pry, the boy burst out laughing at such antics. On a day off, Kim Ram-woo went to the trash collection area to throw away his mother's paintings when Jung Hee-won appeared and asked what he was doing. And Kim Ram-woo replied they were paintings his mother had painted, that she always said they were junk so he had decided to throw them away, and that she used to be a painter. And Jung Hee-won, excited, asked why he had not said so earlier, then lifted a canvas to admire it because it was so beautiful, and finally decided to take the paintings to the restaurant to hang them, even solemnly organizing a handover ceremony so Mrs. Kim could cut the ribbon for a grand opening. And Jung Hee-won lavished praise on Kim Ram-woo's mother's talent, while Mr. Jung, her father, wished his daughter could draw like that, instead of writing in her diary all day. And Mrs. Kim told Jung Hee-won that not everyone could draw the menu images in the shop like she could, that it should be called innate talent, and that she must not be discouraged or listen to those who failed to recognize her ability. And after hearing the encouragement, Jung Hee-won felt even more driven to pursue drawing, to the point she waited in front of Mrs. Kim's workplace so that the woman would become her art teacher. And seeing Jung Hee-won's determination, Kim Ram-woo's mother could not bring herself to refuse, so they went back to her house to find art supplies and even took Kim Ram-woo's belongings to use as sketch models. And the boy tiptoed around, squeezing toothpaste onto a brush, But in the end, Mrs. Kim's tower of setup toppled, and he could only stand there apologizing. As time passed and they reached their senior year, Kim Ram-woo and Jang Hee-won were still in the same class. And the mischievous girl diligently kept up art lessons with Kim Ram-woo's mother without missing a day, and gradually even took to wearing her hair in a bun just like her. And on April Fool's Day, Kim Ram-woo walked into class to find Jang Hee-won sleeping with a jacket over her head. And seeing a sticky note saying to wake her upon arrival, Jang-gu quickly touched her shoulder to rouse her, but the jacket caved in as soon as he touched it, sending the boy's soul flying. And he was then met with snickering from Jang Hee-won's group behind the podium for successfully pranking Jang-gu. One evening, Mrs. Kim had to go out to buy dinner, so she asked her son to sit holding a cup as a model for Jang Hee-won to draw and hurried off. But because their eyes kept meeting, Jang Hee-won could not concentrate and finally gave up. And Kim Ram-woo, pressured, stepped out to the balcony for air. Keeping quiet, Jang Hee-won pointed upward and said a shooting star had just appeared. Yet when Kim Ram-woo looked up, he saw nothing and figured it was just a drone flying by. And even if it were a meteor, in this high-rise city it would be hard to see clearly, for long ago in a remote countryside he had seen many stars, but since then he had never had the chance to watch a meteor. And Jang Hee-won said if they watched one together it would surely be romantic. And noticing Jang-gu looking at her, she hastily patched it by saying she meant if they watched with everyone it would be great. And Kim Ram-woo said he thought just the two of them watching would be nice too. And suddenly they both grew shy and kept adding more people into the idea so it would not be just the two of them. And while they were flustered, Mrs. Kim returned, so Jang Hee-won grabbed her bag, said goodbye, and hurried off to Mrs. Kim's surprise. And Kim Ram-woo felt helpless for having made things more awkward for Jang Hee-won. Yet thanks to that remark, Jang Hee-won went home and began writing a love letter to Kim Ram-woo, carefully drafting it again and again before slipping it into a heart-shaped envelope she had prepared. The next day the group had plans to hang out, and after taking photos together, they headed to a fair. This time Lee Hong-seok had mastered the favorite ice cream flavors of the two girls in the group, so Seok would go buy them, to the point that Kim Ram-woo was surprised at his friend's memory. And Lee Hong-seok gleefully showed the photo he had just taken and said he had deliberately chosen that angle to stand next to her. And only then did Kim Ram-woo realize his best friend had fallen for Jang Hee-won rather than Yoon Tae-kyung. And with that, Lee Hong-seok cheerfully ran off to buy fireworks for Jang Hee-won, while Kim Ram-woo stood frozen like a statue, realizing that not only in board games but also in love, the two of them would have to compete. The first time Kim Ram-woo met Lee Hong-seok was when they stood side by side looking at an internet cafe that was already packed, and someone handed out a flyer for a board game parlor. So they went to try a few rounds, but game after game Lee Hong-seok could not win, and gradually they became friends, often meeting at the library or a quiet corner of school to play. And now their duo had gained two mischievous girls, and the group held sparklers and played happily under the sunset glow. Meanwhile, at home, Mrs. Kim was visited by the wife of Director Park, and Mrs. Kim asserted she was not at fault. She had not known Director Park was married, but taking money and running back then was indeed cowardly, so she would apologize only for that. Mrs. Yo said Mrs. Kim was quite clever for obediently taking the envelopes and fleeing not once but 7 times, and since the child was Director Park's son, it was natural for the boy's father to pay support, so why refuse and return it, and not to bother moving everywhere because she would find them anyway, for her husband did not want any public fuss or headaches about inheritance, and as long as that was ensured, any amount of child support could be arranged. And with that, Mrs. Yo set an allowance contract on the table, then advised Mrs. Kim never to sign such things because Director Park would change his attitude the moment a paper was signed. When Mrs. Kim asked why Mrs. Yo kept coming to bother her, the woman said she too wanted a trump card, that she had not married her husband but his family, that the mother and son were quite a large weak point for him, and that she found Mrs. Kim strange for passing up the chance to exploit far more, and that she also had a child old enough to learn family matters, so she had come to see how someone who chose differently from her lived, and it seemed she had her answer. And when Mrs. Kim asked answer to what, Mrs. Yo did not reply, but only smiled meaningfully. As Mrs. Yo left, Kim Ram-woo arrived home, and they happened to meet in the apartment courtyard. and she asked if he was Kim Ram-woo. So Jam-gu said no and gave his name as Jeong Hee-won, pointing at the name tag on his chest. And Mrs. Yeo smiled, stepped forward, handed the student her business card and said, "You look very much like someone I know. Take this, you might need it." And then quickly left. Before going inside, Kim Ram-woo looked up at his balcony and recalled the scene from yesterday when he and Jeong Hee-won awkwardly talked about watching a meteor. Then he walked in to find his mother fussing over torn papers on the table and told her, "I don't want to move anymore because I like my school and friends here." And hearing that, Mrs. Kim replied, "We won't go anywhere because I'm fond of your friends too." Taking a black cloak she had just bought at the market out of the closet, she said she had happened to meet Jeong Hee-won's father there. And a little later, Kim Ram-woo rummaged through the trash at home to find the torn paper his mother had thrown away, held the two pieces together and read that it was a waiver relinquishing rights to an out-of-wedlock child named Kim Jam-gu, which left the boy choked with emotion and speechless. And the next day, Kim Ram-woo wore the new cloak to school without knowing that Jeong Hee-won was wearing the exact same thing. So the classmates started teasing that the two were a couple. And Kim Ram-woo could not stand it, hurriedly took the cloak off and stuffed it into his locker. Then declared to the class that he had already said they were not dating, asking if everyone was satisfied now. And he turned his back and left, leaving Jeong Hee-won silent and at a loss for words. After class ended, Kim Ram-woo saw Jeong Hee-won's cloak left on the desk and asked the BL fangirl duo if they knew where she had gone. And they said she had gone with Lee Hong-seok. And seeing Kim Ram-woo's gloomy face, the pair came to comfort him with the example of a comic in which a knight missed the chance to swear his vow to the princess, and the Demon King stole her forever, then handed the cloak to Kim Ram-woo and told him not to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, that it would be a shame to let her be taken away, that they had shipped him and Jeong Hee-won so fervently they could not let the ship sink. And Kim Ram-woo asked the two girls how to confess to the one he liked, so they kindly demonstrated on the spot. And after taking it in, Kim Ram-woo sprinted off to find Jeong Hee-won, while the BL pair cheered from behind. Meanwhile, Lee Hong-seok and Jeong Hee-won were at the city pool so she could practice drawing water waves, and she was so focused she did not notice Jam-gu calling her phone to death. Drawing and drawing without success, Jeong Hee-won grew discouraged, fearing she would not get into art college because she could not do what she was good at like Lee Hong-seok, who swam so well he had been nicknamed the Seal of John Middle School. But Lee Hong-seok said he had quit swimming long ago, that his specialty was false starts because he wanted to break records and grew impatient, so he kept false starting and his results worsened. That he wanted to focus on preparing for a physical education college entrance and so quit swimming, but only after a long break did he realize he liked the smell of the pool. And truly, people should live by what their hearts tell them. Jeong Hee-won did not answer but asked whether Kim Ram-woo would come here. And Lee Hong-seok said he had invited only her, that he wanted a tattoo related to swimming and asked her to design one. So she pondered and suggested a seal because Lee Hong-seok looked just like one. At which he splashed water at Jeong Hee-won playfully, and the two sat there splashing each other, while Kim Ram-woo waited for Jeong Hee-won at the bus stop like a faithful statue. Then Jeong Hee-won asked Lee Hong-seok how he could get in, since he had quit swimming long ago. And he said he had been coming to this pool since kindergarten, so he was like the guard's third son. And right then the guard appeared behind them to question him and asked who the person next to Lee Hong-seok was. And he replied they were schoolmates and that she was the one he liked. And he lightly reached to take Jeong Hee-won's hand, but she quickly pulled it back, and thus Lee Hong-seok understood her answer. A while later, Jeong Hee-won took a bus home and found Kim Ram-woo waiting at the stop to return her cloak. And Kim Ram-woo noticed the class representative wearing Lee Hong-seok's jacket and was a bit surprised, but he still decided to speak his feelings, only to be cut off by Jeong Seo-won asking whether all this time they had spent together was because of Lee Hong-seok. And without waiting for Jam-gu to answer, she quickly said it was nothing and turned and left. At home, Jeong Hee-won held the love letter, thought for a moment, and decided to throw it in the trash. And time slipped by until 4 years later, and Jeong Hee-won was now a university art student. That day, Lying around at home like a lifeless shell, she heard the doorbell and forced herself up to open it. And suddenly Jam-gu appeared and introduced himself as Jung Hee-won, but the girl was stunned and hurriedly shut the door, catching Kim Ram-woo's hand painfully while Haewon's face was still frozen in shock. A moment later, Kim Ram-woo came inside and opened the window to let in the light, then said, "We haven't seen each other since graduation. It's been 4 years, hasn't it?" I realize today is April Fool's Day. We have a lot to talk about regarding April Fools. And Jung Hee-won trembled and said, "You died 4 years ago." Rewinding to 4 years earlier, after throwing the love letter into the bin, the next morning, Jung Hee-won still patted Kim Ram-woo on the shoulder and said she had planned to ignore him, but he looked so pitiful she could not. That his complexion was awful and she knew the type who needed something, and that there was a great place nearby so he should follow her. And they went into a school storeroom filled with paints and art tools belonging to Jung Hee-won, a place only she and Yoon Tae-kyung knew. But Jam-gu said there was a no entry sign for a reason. Maybe there were ghosts or explosive contraband. And as he finished, Jung Hee-won handed him a brush and told him to paint on the wall with her. And Kim Ram-woo hesitated, then began to open up. Sometimes a visitor came to his house, the wife of the man he called father. He did not even know what to call her. And sometimes she would stop by, hand over money and leave, hush money, so he would act like he did not exist. And he always wondered why that father never once came to see him, unsure whether he even wanted to meet him, having thought about it since childhood and still uncertain. Jung Hee-won answered at once, "I'm the same. My mother died when I was 4. On the first day of elementary school, everyone was laughing and happy except my father, who stood crying alone, so I asked why, and he said mother had so wanted to be there that he missed her and could not hold back tears. I was too young to remember much of her, but I burst out crying with him and said I missed her too, though honestly I did not understand myself, not knowing if it was real longing or just acting like I should." And with that, she dipped her brush and kept painting the wall, and Kim Ram-woo quickly joined her, and they set aside the unhappy things and enjoyed the time painting together until the wall became a brilliant night sky. And since that was still not enough, Jung Hee-won used orange to draw shooting stars, and Kim Ram-woo stepped close and reached up to paint Saturn in a high corner. And at that moment they were very near. But before any romance could bloom, best friend Yoon Tae-kyung came in, displeased at Jam-gu's presence and scolding Jung Hee-won for not warning her there would be someone else, as well as for not reading messages about their weekend hangout, and instead fooling around with a new best friend while neglecting Tae-kyung. And Jung Hee-won said she had an appointment that day to go house hunting in Sun with her father. And Yoon Tae-kyung said Jung Hee-won did not value their promises and always found excuses to apologize, that she was tired of hearing Jung Hee-won ramble about having to pass the college exam. And when Jung Hee-won warned that Tae-kyung was going too far, she ignored it, snatched the photo stuck on the glass, and turned and walked away. After that quarrel between the two mischievous best friends, the two boys in the group felt awkward and did not know how to handle it. And Kim Ram-woo felt even more awkward because he knew the main cause of the dispute was himself. Lee Hong-sok thought that since the girls had fought at school, they needed to take them outside to resolve the conflict, which sounded reasonable, but Kim Ram-woo knew Lee Hong-sok just wanted a group trip. So the two boys split up to persuade Jung Hee-won and Yoon Tae-kyung. And Kim Ram-woo told Jung Hee-won that this would be a graduation trip with Lee Hong-seok and Yoon Tae-kyung too, and that it might be their last trip together so they could not miss it. And when she heard the phrase, "the two of us," Jung Hee-won realized it was a chance to take a few steps closer to him and smiled, saying she would think about it. Meanwhile, Lee Hong-seok tried to persuade Yoon Tae-kyung to join, which was not easy because she did not want to be involved with Jung Hee-won anymore. So he used his last resort, bringing up the now famous Mamie Bakery and inventing that it would close for a year next week because it was the owner's sabbatical. And upon hearing that, Yoon Tae-kyung was struck like by lightning and, no matter how angry she was at Jung Hee-won, agreed to come. so they met at the bus terminal to head to the campsite. Things between Jung Hee-won and Yoon Tae-kyung were still a bit stiff, but Lee Hong-seok quickly amped up the mood so the group could have fun. And on this trip, Jung Hee-won decided to bring the love letter so she could give it to Kim Ram-woo when the chance came. As soon as they arrived, they went out on the pier to see the sea and play. And seeing the familiar closeness between Kim Ram-woo and Jung Hee-won, Lee Hong-seok felt a suspicion rising inside. And then they queued at the popular Mommy Bakery, deciding to split into two lines to avoid waiting. And Yoon Tae-kyung began listing the pastries to buy for the two boys, but they only half listened and did not write anything down, which annoyed Jung Hee-won and Yoon Tae-kyung so much that they shoved the bags into the boys' hands and kicked them out of the line to save time. While walking, Kim Ram-woo saw a poster for a winter meteor shower festival and suddenly remembered Jung Hee-won's wish to watch meteors together. At the same time, preparations were in full swing for Mrs. Kim's gallery opening, and someone had sent congratulatory flowers, so she took out the card and saw it was from Mrs. Yu, who wrote with her business card, "I've divorced Director Park. It seems we both have reason to celebrate. Congratulations on your gallery opening." And a little later, as Mrs. Kim chatted with guests, her son called to say there was a meteor shower festival nearby, and at once she knew he wanted to ditch her to go with Jung Hee-won. And before she could answer, Mr. Jung chimed in to let the kids go have fun, saying he would save them cake. And Mrs. Kim smiled and said, "Go on, we'll have our own little party when you're back." And after hanging up, Jam-gu plunged into the festival with the group, and Lee Hong-seok played so hard his outer jacket tore, so Yoon Tae-kyung had to stitch it up on the spot, while Hae-won stared at a raffle booth where the prize was tickets to the observatory to watch the meteor shower. And as she picked a necklace, Yoon Tae-kyung awkwardly said, "I'm sorry, I thought we'd always stay together, but thinking I'd be the only one not going to college and left behind made me feel confused." And Jung Hee-won replied, "No matter what we do or become, we'll still be together, we're a pair." And Yoon Tae-kyung smiled and agreed, mending the friendship. Meanwhile, Jam-gu and Lee Hong-seok were at a booth for Letters to the Future via Shooting Stars, and when Jam-gu noticed Lee Hong-seok staring at his phone, he asked what was up. And his friend said his mom wanted him to retake exams, that he did not need a top university, only to live joyfully, but no one believed him. So Kim Ram-woo took a card and wrote a future letter to Lee Hong-seok, who was moved and then, glancing toward Jung Hee-won, asked whether Kim Ram-woo was hiding something. And Kim Ram-woo admitted he had a crush on Jung Hee-won and asked when Lee Hong-seok had known. And he said probably after he confessed to her and was flatly rejected, but that Jung Hee-won always looked at Kim Ram-woo and he looked at her, so he eventually realized it. And though he had wanted to ignore it, he told Kim Ram-woo not to worry about him and to follow his heart, but not to get cocky. That night, the group sat on the grass to watch the meteor shower, when Jung Hee-won got a call from an unknown number, stepped aside, and was told she had won observatory tickets. And it turned out she had tried her luck earlier and meant to write Kim Ram-woo's name on the raffle but wrote her own because they had been swapping names. So she excitedly pulled Kim Ram-woo to a quiet spot to celebrate and told him he had won the observatory event, saying she knew he had never seen a meteor and that it was also the last chance to be called Jung Hee-won, that she had gotten into her dream college, made up with Yoon Tae-kyung, and could travel with her favorite people, that everything she wanted had come true, that she was very happy and hoped he would be happy today too, because right now he was Jung Hee-won. Kim Ram-woo smiled and asked her to go with him because he had something he had to say tonight, but she refused, took the love letter from her bag, handed it to him, told him to read it at the observatory, and walked away. And Kim Ram-woo called after her that swapping names with her had been tough, but probably the happiest thing he had done in high school, and that when they took the train home they should sit together. And after smiling and waving goodbye, they went their separate ways, with Kim Ram-woo going up to the observatory and reading Jung Hee-won's letter while her group on the lawn began a countdown, turned off the lights, and waited for the meteors. And for the first time in his life, Jam-gu saw a meteor shower, along with the pure feeling Jung Hee-won had poured into her letter. But joy did not last. because sirens from police cars and ambulances screamed across the campground. And as Mr. Jiang joked with guests at the gallery, he froze at the TV news about a gas explosion at the observatory. Panic spread. Jiang Hee-won's group rushed to the observatory to look for Kim Ram-woo but were blocked by police. And Jiang Hee-won could only cry out his name in despair in the chaos, even as she knew he would not answer. And later they sat stunned outside the operating room, Mr. Jiang and Mrs. Kim racing to the hospital after hearing the news. And when Mrs. Kim could not see her beloved son anywhere, she realized something terrible had happened. And seeing the surgical list, she collapsed in pain and wept. That even at death's door, the name Jiang Hee-won still clung to Kim Ram-woo. And after the tragic accident, Kim Ram-woo no longer bore Jiang Hee-won's name, and Mrs. Kim's gallery was sold and leased out. After death, Kim Ram-woo's spirit sat blankly in a hospital corner when a lady reaper appeared and spoke his name exactly 3 times. And he simply nodded and followed instructions without making a fuss, which surprised her as a rare case. And she said that taking the dead away was sometimes like a lottery because reactions varied widely, with throwing a fit cases having the highest hit rate, probably because they still had many earthly attachments, then asked what he regretted most now. And Kim Ram-woo looked down at his hands, remembered Jiang Hee-won's letter and answered, "Is a reaper I've just met going to talk so bluntly?" And she apologized, saying, "I died decades ago, so everyone looks like a child to me. I had a lot of lingering regrets too, but I didn't want to become a demon, so I found healthy ways to let go, which is how I can legally go back to the human world." And Jam-gu asked how to become a reaper. And from then on, as a reaper, he faced all kinds of ordeals, being doused with salt or splashed with water, grabbed by the collar by the dead lamenting their fate, even having to sprint because they still refused to accept that they had died. On one occasion, while sending off an old woman, he accidentally saw Jiang Hee-won. So later, when he had the chance, the boy returned to that cafe to look for the familiar figure but found no one. Until one day, while Kim Ram-woo was escorting a gang leader, he saw Jiang Hee-won walk out from the art school. And from then on, he stuck close by her whenever he could. Once, Kim Ram-woo even met the BL fangirl duo again at a hospital, and now they had become trainee doctors and were just as BL obsessed as before. And Kim Ram-woo wished Jiang Hee-won could enjoy life like that too, but she only lived day by day in heartbreak, unable to put away the wound in her heart. Sitting with other reapers on a lawn one day, Kim Ram-woo heard them complain that the workload kept growing. And he said, "Isn't it because Reaper Park quit that you're short-staffed?" And another reaper said it wasn't that he quit, ran away was more accurate, that he'd heard the man's daughter was sick, and Reaper Park had deserted his post to search for his still-living daughter, that he had violated what was written in the Register of Life and Death, and would never see his daughter or anyone again, because if you go against the register, you disappear completely. After that talk, Kim Ram-woo went to the Lady Reaper who had once ferried him and asked if she had ever gone to visit anyone, family or friends, for example. And the Lady Reaper said she had gone exactly once but later could not bear it, and so never went again. That it was better to hope they lived well, because if you went and they were not living as you'd hoped, you could do nothing, and it was better not to know. The next day, Kim Ram-woo was checking the Register of Life and Death to see the next person he had to take. And when he saw Jiang Hee-won's entry and that her cause of death would be suicide, he froze on the spot, shocked, and did not move. Back in the present moment after hearing Jiang Hee-won's question, Kim Ram-woo confirmed that he had died 4 years earlier and said he had something he had to tell her, that she would die in 1 week, that she would pass away after 176 hours, 12 minutes, and 35 seconds. And Jiang Hee-won gave a mocking laugh, thinking it was a joke and that Kim Ram-woo was acting as a reaper, but his serious face and firm nod that he really was her reaper gradually wiped away her smile. She slowly stepped closer, poked his cheek with her finger, patted it a few times to check he was real, then ran out to ask the delivery man to come inside and deal with the creep who had broken into her home. And they opened the door, but only Hye-won could see Kim Ram-woo standing there, while the shipper could not see anything. And Kim Ram-woo nodded and said the man could not see him, so not to bother, and besides, this shipper would live rather long and suffer for quite a while yet. And the delivery man, thinking Jiang Hee-won was pranking him, got annoyed and left. Jiang Hee-won called her doctor to ask whether the medicine she was taking caused hallucinations, but the doctor confirmed it did not. Kim Ram-woo calmly wandered around and said people usually took a few hours to accept this, but that she would regret wasting time when she looked back later, and asked how many things one would regret after dying, and said he had some advice. But he heard Buddhist chanting and turned to see Jang Hee-won sitting with eyes covered, meditating to the sutras. And he came close and spoke loudly into her ear, "I'm used to this. Buddhist chants are like ringtone hold music to me." And Jang Hee-won got up, paced, and asked who he really was and why he kept introducing himself as Jang Hee-won and calling her Kim Jam-gu. And the boy said she had been the one to make a big deal about swapping names, so why dislike it now that they had swapped? And then Kim Ram-woo rummaged through her things and took out the yearbook, opened it, and reminisced about school days. But when he found his own face had been torn out of the photo, he fell silent. And when he looked over at Jang Hee-won, the girl blasted him with a fire extinguisher, which he had to respect because until now he had mostly been doused with chicken blood and salt, never a fire extinguisher, so it was new. And Jang Hee-won, exhausted, had no words for Kim Ram-woo's blithe optimism. After that, Jang Hee-won went out into the street, but Kim Ram-woo still trailed after her, chattering non-stop until her headache worsened and she had to cover her ears. She went to a sauna, bought an adult ticket and soaked naked inside. And when she finished and came out, the Reaper boy still followed and chirped on without stopping, so she snapped and asked why, if she really was about to die, the messenger had to be him. And Jang-gu said it was a perk from someone he knew. And Jang Hee-won demanded he leave her alone and only come when it was time. So Jang-gu dragged the stubborn girl to the hospital emergency area to witness doctors trying to hold on to a gangster's life. And beside them, a different Reaper stood waiting. And then another patient was wheeled in, which frightened Jang Hee-won as memories of the terrible accident years ago began to surface. And after a long struggle, the doctors could not pull the gangster back from the Reaper's grasp and gave up. And then Jang-gu took the decedent's information sheet and announced the exact time of his last breath, and read his full name 3 times to confirm one last time, before handing the sheet to the other Reaper waiting. And only then did the gangster realize he had died, staring at the breathless body on the bed, bursting into tears, and then departing with the Reaper. Having seen it all, Jang Hee-won finally began to believe what Kim Ram-woo said. And Kim Ram-woo asked what she wanted to do with the 1 week she had left, but Jang Hee-won coolly said she wanted to sleep and stood to leave. And Jang-gu stopped her and said, "Do you really have nothing you want to do? Like meeting someone or going somewhere? If not, we could tour famous bakeries nationwide or solve some ultra-hard math problems." And Jang Hee-won replied, "Aren't those your wishes?" So Kim Ram-woo countered that he had other wishes, pulled out a notebook list of things he wanted to do before clocking out, and showed it to Jang Hee-won so she could do them with him. But she had no interest and walked away. And Kim Ram-woo pleaded that wandering alone as a Reaper was boring and persuaded Jang Hee-won to come back and read the list. And then the Reaper boy added, "You only have to do 10 with me." And Jang Hee-won made him promise that once they finished he would leave her and never bother her again. And Jang-gu nodded and promised that once the wishes were done, everything would end and he would disappear before her eyes. First, they immediately did a tandem bike ride in the park, even though passers-by saw only Jang Hee-won pedaling and talking to herself like someone unstable. And after a lap they sat and looked at the night scenery in the park. And Jang Hee-won, exasperated, could not fathom Kim Ram-woo's wishes, but still told him to cross that one off if it was done. And Kim Ram-woo happily struck it out and began chattering, verged through the remaining wishes until Jang Hee-won snatched the notebook and flipped ahead, then looked at the Reaper boy with helpless eyes. And after a bit of beer under the night sky, Jang Hee-won could not stand it and stood up to demand they move on to the next wish. The next day, they took binoculars to watch migratory birds in the park where elderly people exercised, then ate noodles while watching a polar bear video on a projector as Kim Ram-woo kindly sprayed fake snow and wrapped a warm scarf around Jang Hee-won to make it feel like eating noodles in the Arctic for real. And after that, they went to a classical concert at the Arts Center. While Jang Hee-won asked to be called when the performance ended, she was unbelievably excited as if she had never seen one before. And after that, she was dragged by the Reaper boy to go paragliding and she thought Jam-gu had come back to take revenge on her. Why else treat her like this? Yet the Reaper boy gently fastened a helmet on Jang-won, and when she asked why he was not wearing one, Kim Ram-woo said he did not need it because he was not the one going. And at that moment, the instructor invited the girl to step up. And while Jung Hee-won vented her anger at the Reaper boy, the instructor hauled her to the jump, regardless of her pleading. And thus Jung Hee-won and the staffer glided off the mountain to the Reaper boy's full-throated cheers. And after a bout of screaming, she began laughing with delight as the fun of paragliding sank in. And after landing, she looked around to find Kim Ram-woo, panicked, and ran until he called from behind, grinning broadly and asking whether it was fun. And though she pouted and said it was not, he knew she had just lived a moment she would never forget. Because back in school, Kim Ram-woo had heard Jung Hee-won tell their friends that once she had a boyfriend, she would ride a tandem bike at the Han River Park, drink beer beneath the night sky, travel, try paragliding together, and then watch a classical concert with elegance. And Jung Hee-won had listed all her wishes without realizing Jam-gu had quietly written them into his notebook. The day after the paragliding outing, Jung Hee-won reluctantly went with Kim Ram-woo to her university. And Kim Ram-woo said her student life was far duller than what she had said she would do upon entering college, join clubs, drink with seniors, date someone, and that she had done none of it, even with graduation near. So Jung Hee-won refused to hear more and walked straight into the campus festival area. But the Reaper boy would not stop and kept yammering in both ears. So she hurried off and bumped into an upper-class woman carrying a bulky box, quickly apologized and picked up the spilled items for her. And the upper-class woman said they had once taken a class together and asked her name. And upon hearing Jung Hee-won, she was sure they were in the same department, which made Kim Ram-woo brighten that she did have acquaintances at school after all. And when the senior lifted the box to go, items spilled with every step, so Jung Hee-won helped carry it to the department room. The senior introduced herself as John Hun, 2 years above. And, seeing Jung Hee-won's blank face, she knew the girl remembered nothing. After all, Jung Hee-won had never joined a department activities. So she told her to stay until the department kids came to say hi. But Jung Hee-won shyly said she had class and could not join. And John Hun replied that on festival day there were no classes. And as Jung Hee-won hesitated over how to escape, Kim Ram-woo chattered, pointed at things, and somehow knocked menu boards and festival posters off onto the paint shelf, splattering color everywhere. And everyone froze in shock. And when other department members entered and saw the scene, Jung Hee-won and John Hun hurried to clarify it was not their doing. And everyone had to scrub paint all over and had no idea how to redesign the menu since the remaining funds had already gone to alcohol. And they told Jung Hee-won to help clean and asked why she even showed up today after years of skipping activities. And John Hun, embarrassed, stepped in to take responsibility. But Jung Hee-won pulled out paints and began hand-drawing the stained menu, thanks to which the art department gained a one-of-a-kind stalboard. And the boy was proud of Jung Hee-won's talent and praised her lavishly, and everyone applauded and asked if she would do her graduation exhibition in that style. Jung Hee-won said she had no concrete plan and felt she might hit difficulties. And just then, students from the history department brought food, asking Hye-won to draw their menu board. And not only history, but other departments sent food and asked Hye-won to make menus. And after finishing, she played hopscotch with department friends and then chatted as they recommended good eateries near campus so Hye-won could try them, saying it was unacceptable to study 4 years and never visit, while Kim Ram-woo urged Jung Hee-won to jot them down to go eat. That night, as Jung Hee-won prepped fish cake skewers, John Hun sat beside her and said that thanks to today's mishap, they had found great success, that Jung Hee-won ought to attend department events more, asking if she was so busy. And Jung Hee-won said it was not busyness, but that she found it hard to enjoy herself alone. And John Hun, after a pause, said to ask if she needed help, especially for the graduation show, no need to be shy, that she herself was glad when someone helped, that it was called mutual support. A little later, the department gathered to drink beer. A junior named Jung Ho noticed Hee-won was cold and gallantly draped his jacket over her, boasting he was army tough against the cold. And Kim Ram-woo came over and patted Jung-ho's shoulder until his lips and ears turned blue, forcing Jung Hee-won to hurriedly return the jacket. Jung-ho could not stand the chill, stood up to buy heat packs, and everyone laughed because moments before he had bragged about withstanding cold. And once Jung-ho left, another student said Jung Hee-won apparently had a boyfriend because a handsome guy came daily to the school gate, which surprised Kim Ram-woo, who asked her. And she denied having any boyfriend, but the student continued that the guy had a cute tattoo on his arm and, upon asking, learned it was drawn by Jung Hee-won. And the group began guessing what animal it was. Jam-gu blurting guesses, and in a moment it was clear the tattoo was a seal, and the boyfriend was none other than Lee Hong-suk. Then Kim Ram-woo saw other students in astronaut outfits passing and, curious, headed to the fireworks booth. And Jung Hee-won worriedly rose to follow, but Jong-hun called her back to snap a photo and immediately handed the print to Jung Hee-won as a keepsake. And Jung Hee-won hurried to where Kim Ram-woo stood, happily queuing for a sparkler he could not be handed because, as a reaper, the vendor could not see him. And the countdown began, triggering memories of the old accident. And Jung Hee-won, frightened, looked at the photo and saw Kim Ram-woo absent from it, realized he had long been dead, dropped the photo, and rushed out of the festival. As she went, memories flooded back, classmates gossiping that Kim Ram-woo's death was Jung Hee-won's fault because she had pushed for swapping names. Yoon Tae Kyung rising to defend her. Jung Hee-won slumping into class believing they were right because she believed his death was on her. And to this day, she believed it should have been her. So she went to the nearby river, intending to step in and end everything, when Kim Ram-woo appeared, grabbed her hand, and asked why she was doing this. And Jung Hee-won gave a bitter smile and asked how he felt, whether he was happy sampling the college life he could never live, saying she had been like this for 4 years, unable to forgive herself since that night, that his appearing before her made her think he was still alive, that he kept smiling and treating her kindly as if he had not died because of her, begging him not to call her Kim Jam-gu anymore but to use her real name, saying that if he called her by her real name she would die, so he should keep calling her that, and that if he had not come to torment her then end this quickly. And Kim Ram-woo looked at Jung Hee-won, gently took her hand and said, Jung Hee-won, I like you. I liked you so much, and I still do. I'm sorry I'm saying it too late. How could I ever hate you? I came because I missed you so much. Then the two of them just held each other's hands and cried their eyes out. The next day, Jung Hee-won went back to visit her father's restaurant, and, while there, drew new poster designs for him to hang out front. Mr. Jung wondered why his daughter had bothered to come by, and why she was sitting there drawing for all 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter. Jung Hee-won said that since she was free, she might as well do them all at once. As they were talking, Hayu returned from the market, and Mr. Jung thanked his younger daughter for working part-time and still running errands for him. Seeing Jung Hee-won's puzz, ZLED. Look, he explained that Hayu was saving money to go to the city of Cebu to freedive with friends. Hearing that, Jung Hee-won told her sister to cancel the trip because it was dangerous. Hayu snapped, "Do you want me to be like you? Hold up at home every day with no friends?" Their father hurried to mediate, but the younger girl kept going. You can get into an accident and die on a trip, sure, but that's not the only cause of death. You could walk out of the shop and get hit by a car, or something could fall on your head in the street. If it's bad luck, you'll meet your ancestors one way or another. Since we never know when we'll die, I'm going to live and do everything I want, so you should ease up and live your own life too. Hearing her sister's sermon, Jung Hee-won set down her brush, grabbed her bag, and walked out. As she was going, Kim Ram-woo appeared behind her, touched her shoulder and said, "I've been watching you from over there since the afternoon. You look like you've lost your rice ration." People probably say that to you a lot, right? I know a great place to blow off steam. Come with me. The two of them then snuck into their old high school without the guard noticing. Inside the storage room, Jung Hee-won picked up a group photo from senior year, splattered with paint and lying on the floor. After all these years, it was still there. Kim Ram-woo asked curiously how Yoon Tae Kyung and Lee Hong-seok were doing these days. Jung Hee-won said Yoon Tae Kyung was probably no longer in Korea, and she had long since fallen out of touch with Lee Hong-seok. Kim Ram-woo, thinking Jung Hee-won was too alone if the only high school friend left to her was this Reaper, decided they should go see Lee Hong-seok and talk. While he was speaking to himself, Jung Hee-won hurried to hide in a corner because the guard had come into the storeroom to look for something. Calmly, Kim Ram-woo came close, took Jung Hee-won's phone from her jacket pocket, and dialed Lee Hong-seok without a second thought. Jung Hee-won felt like she was sitting on hot coals. She wanted to stop him but couldn't. Only after the guard left did she snatch back the phone and hang up. She said Lee Hong-seok had probably deleted her number anyway. No sooner had she said it than he called back, asked what was up, said he was busy, and quickly hung up before she could say a word. Despite her objections, Jam-gu added a new wish to his list. They had to go see Lee Hong-seok. He then stepped outside, leaving Jung Hee-won inside the storeroom to figure out how to open the door, and said he would only open it if she agreed to meet Lee Hong-seok. Jung Hee-won had no choice but to agree. A little later they went to the swim center to find Lee Hong-seok and saw him guiding students through stretches before getting in the water. When he looked over, Jung Hyung waved, led there by a ghostly hand, and soon the two of them were sitting tensely in his office, no one daring to speak, which made Jam-gu feel the pressure too. Lee Hong-seok said Jung Hee-won must have something to say. She hesitated, waiting for Kim Ram-woo to prompt her. The Reaper boy whispered for her to say that Lee Hong-seok always angled his left profile because it looked better to impress girls, and that he still had a thing for the smell of his own feet. Hearing this, Lee Hong-seok was baffled at what she was talking about, so Jung Hee-won quickly said she'd overthought and started babbling. Seeing it wasn't going well, Kim Ram-woo told her to ask about their dating, but she wanted to avoid the topic and only asked whether Lee Hong-seok had finished military service, then pointed at the stack of books on his desk, curious what he was studying now. He hurriedly stuffed them into his backpack and said he was just preparing for an exam. When Hae-won asked what exam he could be cramming for at this hour, Lee Hong-seok politely asked her to leave because her presence made him uncomfortable. In the end, she left with a heavy heart and told Kim Ram-woo to handle things with Lee Hong-seok himself. The Reaper refused. He wanted Jung Hee-won to use this final chance to sort things out clearly. Just then, Lee Hong-seok ran out and asked if she had come because of Kim Ram-woo, hadn't she? Suddenly, ambulance sirens blared, triggering Jung Hee-won's trauma. Terrified and gasping, she sank to the ground. Lee Hong-seok quickly borrowed a plastic bag from a nearby man and gave it to her to steady her breathing. Helpless to do anything, Kim Ram-woo could only watch in silence and then leave. When Jung Hee-won had calmed down, Lee Hong-seok helped her up and suggested they take a walk to catch their breath. As they walked, Jung Hee-won said she could not live as if nothing had happened. Not like him. She still could not accept how he'd returned to normal so quickly, and honestly, she had been very jealous of that. Lee Hong-seok halted, smiled bitterly, and said, "Why do you think you're the only one who's exhausted? When you called earlier, I really didn't want to pick up, afraid something had happened again. Anytime there's news of an accident, my first thought is something bad, afraid I'll see someone I know on the screen. Why think it's only you? Every time you were worn out over Kim Ram-woo, I had to pretend I was fine and change the subject? Do you think that's easy?" Jung Hee-won did not want to hear more and turned away, but Lee Hong-seok said he wished she would stop bringing up Kim Ram-woo. When he said that, had she considered how he felt, since he had been there too. After she had steadied herself, the two sat on a bench and spoke their hearts. Lee Hong-seok said he knew she had come only because Kim Ram-woo's shadow had crossed her mind, but his own feelings were sincere, and he wanted them to get through this together. That he still wasn't used to the sound of sirens, so he planned to take a job that would mean hearing them every day. He was preparing to test to become a firefighter. That whether sirens or anything else, he'd still jump every time. But that was the job. That he was truly in pain and regretted leaving Jam-gu alone at the observatory. That he had always yearned for a simple "How are you?" from her. Jung Hee-won said she had thought he wanted to forget Jam-gu. Lee Hong-seok burst into tears, pain long held back spilling out, because to him, Jam-gu was a friend who could not be bettered, and he cried as he spoke, just as he had at Kim Ram-woo's funeral 4 years earlier. After they had resolved what lay between them, Jung Hee-won saw Lee Hong-seok back to the center and said she would forget everything and try to live so happily she'd have no time to contact him. so even if she didn't, he mustn't be sad, and he should live well. She apologized for being mean and self-centered. Lee Hong-seok smiled and replied, "Eat well, and don't show up on the TV news. And goodbye." He went inside and saw the board game Kim Rum-woo had loved sitting on his desk. He sat, took out the letter Kim Rum-woo had written him 4 years ago, and smiled with joy, unaware that Kim Rum-woo was sitting opposite, waiting for Lee Hong-seok to finish the match they had left unfinished. The Reaper friend smiled with pride and said, "Wherever you are and whatever you do, live joyfully and wholeheartedly. I believe you can." Meanwhile, Jang Hee-won walked along replaying, over and over, the last day she had seen Kim Ram-woo. If that day, instead of letting him go up to the observatory alone, she had kept the love letter and strolled with him, would anything have changed? Or if she had ignored the prize call and stayed to watch the meteors with the group? Or if Kim Ram-woo had gone back early to celebrate at the gallery with his mother? Or, most simply, if they had never met and never swapped names from the start, would the future have been different? While she was lost in thought, Kim Ram-woo appeared in front of her, so Jang Hee-won said there was one person she had to meet before she clocked out, her art teacher, his mother, and told him to go to do the last item on his wish list. Kim Ram-woo was sitting on a bench watching old men play marbles when Jang Hee-won came over and said she had asked at real estate offices, but no one knew anything about his mother. Then scolded him for being a reaper who could not find people, only good at putting on a shiny front. And he corrected her that the shine came from being employee of the month, that reapers were not omnipotent, and bragged that he was saving for a mortgage to settle down and build the next phase of life. Seeing her almost convinced, he stood and admitted none of that was real, that once you die, there is nothing. Jang Hee-won stood and said she wanted to be a reaper. If she became one, then when she died she could go with him, right? But Kim Ram-woo refused at once, knowing she could never do this work, and then said his mother seemed to have an acquaintance, so they went to a major city exhibition to find Mrs. Yeo. Nervous about how to introduce herself, Jang Hee-won heard Kim Ram-woo suggest, "Deadpan, say you're the friend of the husband's out-of-wedlock child, or the student of the husband's affair partner," neither of which sounded remotely okay. And just then Mrs. Yeo approached, so Jang Hee-won blurted that she was a reporter looking for an artist, and Mrs. Yeo asked for a card to pass to staff, and the flustered girl rummaged in her wallet and handed over her student ID. Seeing the name Jang Hee-won, Mrs. Yeo found it familiar, and the girl had no choice but to explain everything, saying she had come hoping Mrs. Yeo could help find Kim Ram-woo's mother. Mrs. Yeo asked how she had known to come, and Jang Hee-won, stammering, said Kim Ram-woo had told her long ago. And Mrs. Yeo apologized, that she could not help, that she could not know whether the woman wanted to meet, that there might be a good reason for cutting ties. Standing to leave, she heard Jang Hee-won ask if she had ever had something she absolutely had to do yet kept running from, knowing it was her fault but dodging it out of cowardice, saying she had done that with her teacher, that she should have said Kim Ram-woo died because of her, but had run away because she was too afraid. And Mrs. Yeo only smiled with quiet approval and said nothing more. With the current address for Mrs. Kim in hand, Kim Ram-woo flatly forbade Jang Hee-won to go. While she was still in a self-blaming state, he even wanted to strike the Meet Mom item off the wish list, because he wanted them both simply to live well and happily, and going like this would not be right. Jang Hee-won recounted the past. Before leaving, his mother had come to her father's shop and said it was all her fault. Kim Ram-woo still refused. Going to take the blame would solve nothing. His mother would not live any more at ease. And Jang Hee-won was only thinking of herself, so why not forget and let go? Jang Hee-won shook her head. This was not the past to her. So Kim Ram-woo, angry now, said that no matter how painful, time moves and people keep living, that his mother must be living her life, and she should live hers too. Jang Hee-won answered that her life had only 2 days left, that this was the last thing she had to do, the one thing that would bring peace, and if he would not go, fine. Kim Ram-woo quickly caught her hand and asked why she could not move forward. He was the Reaper come to take her, yet she acted as if she had long been waiting for death, and from the first moment she met him to now she had never once begged to live. And with that he turned and left in disappointment. Meanwhile, John Hun was on pins and needles with worry for Jang Hee-won. After their spat, they sat far apart on the bus, and John Hun, brooding, pulled out a pen and scribbled wishes on a sports class flyer, still unable to sit still. When other department members came in, she immediately asked if anyone had seen Jung Hee-won, but no one knew anything. One student even said Jung Hee-won looked like she was heading to a funeral. A&D could not see why the department head cared so much. And Jong-hun did not reply, lying on the sofa to compose a message to Jung Hee-won. For the night before, she had dreamed of different scenes: trains, fireworks bursting in the night sky, a distant church, an old man pulling a cart, and had even seen Jung Hee-won climbing a parapet to jump. By then, Jung Hee-won had reached the bus terminal and opened her phone to read the message, but paid it little mind and pocketed it. Then saw a foursome of friends excited for a trip and could not help recalling their high school outing. As she was thinking, Kim Ram-woo took her hand and said, "Just think of this as a trip." And they went hand in hand to a solo art exhibition. At the entrance, Kim Ram-woo let go and told her to go in alone. If a fight broke out, he would not know whom to back, and his presence would distract her. So he waited outside. Jung Hee-won went in and saw Mrs. Kim guiding guests through the show. And when she saw Jung Hee-won standing there, she smiled gently. And not until evening did she have time to talk, so they walked outside and spoke. Mrs. Kim said the place was a small gallery studio, Kim Atelier, with her quarters in back. That someone like an umbrella had suddenly appeared, giving her all sorts of work from exhibition management to guiding to building management. That back then she had left in such a rush, as if fleeing, and wanted to apologize for disappearing without a word because she had had no mind left to do otherwise. Jung Hee-won, eyes stinging, said the auntie should not apologize like that. But before she could continue, Mrs. Kim spotted a few people sneaking in to smoke, drove them out, and led Jung Hee-won on. And Jung Hee-won could hold it in no longer. "It was all my fault. The fact that only Kim Ram-woo didn't come back that day was on me. The prize card was actually in my name. I should have gone, but I told Jamgu to go. If not for me, he wouldn't have gone there. You suffered so much, and I didn't dare say it. I ran away." Mrs. Kim rushed to embrace her and soothe her. "Thank you for saying it. I'd guessed for a long time, but I didn't know you still thought this way even now. You must have suffered terribly. But how could that be your fault? From now on, don't think like that." And the two of them held each other tight and wept. After that, Mrs. Kim sat and ate cake with Jung Hee-won, saying she had once hated cake. On the day Jamgu died, she had saved a slice for her son. But later, when she tried it, she found it so delicious and realized she had spent too long hating herself instead of thinking about him. Only after moving here and painting did she belatedly understand what she should do, not resent, but cherish Ram-woo. And since the season of self-blame had long passed, she hoped Jung Hee-won would let go of the past and live well. Sometimes she wished she could meet her boy again just to show him how strong she'd become. So Jung Hee-won stood and asked the teacher to wait, ran out to look for Kim Ram-woo, found the Reaper boy busily repairing an electrical cabinet, dragged him inside, shoved him into the room with Mrs. Kim, and shut the door. Kim Ram-woo looked around to see his mother's familiar figure as she took from the closet the black cloak she had once bought for her son, stood before the mirror, and draped it over herself. Overcome, he hugged his mother from behind, and even Mrs. Kim felt the warmth. Then she took off the cloak, stroked it one last time, and carried it out, while Kim Ram-woo stood there weeping out the years of missing her. Meanwhile, Jung Hee-won, checking the wishes on her paper, received the cloak from Mrs. Kim, who believed her son would be happy to see Jung Hee-won wear it. Jung Hee-won smiled and told the teacher, "Even if I can't come here again, please live well." Mrs. Kim smiled back, "Not come visit at all? There's a beautiful night view from the hill out back." Though it was too dark to see now, at that moment a row of amber lights suddenly flared to life, to Mrs. Kim's surprise, since they'd long been broken. It turned out Kim Ram-woo had been sweating over that fuse box for this very thing. Jung Hee-won suddenly realized that meet mom again was Jamgu's final wish, meaning he would vanish. So she hurriedly said goodbye and ran to find him, spotted him sitting dazed on the hill, ran to embrace him and kissed the Reaper boy on the lips. Then she poured out her heart. After he left, she had lived terribly, unable to retreat or go forward, standing still while everyone else moved on, once wishing she could quietly die. Yet in this week beside him she had, for the first time, wished a day would never end. But now we only have one day left, right? Kim Ram-woo held Jeong Hee-won tight and soothed her, and they sat leaning on each other until dawn. When she mourned the vanished stars, he gently covered her eyes. They haven't disappeared, daylight just hides them. Imagine them. And when she nodded and lowered his hand, she gave him her own list of wishes, saying they had wasted a week, but still had one day to say goodbye, so they should do it properly. They bought a suit, then went to a bustling cosmetics counter where John Hun kept pinging her, but she ignored it and kept shopping. Then they stopped by a dive shop to choose fins and, after buying them, went straight home to see her father and sister. At the sound of Jeong Hee-won's voice, the two hurriedly brought out the new computer they'd bought, and before she could protest, Mr. Jeong slit the box, too late to return it, saying he'd paid from his own pocket to help her with art, and he had chipped in with part-time savings, so she had no choice but to accept. Then she waited while her father tried on the new suit and fetched his saxophone to perform. He said he'd been practicing so he could play at his daughter's wedding, and Jeong Hee-won could only smile, watching her father go all in and her sister beaming in her fins. After checking off the wish, she sat at the bus stop with Kim Ram-woo, where an energetic girl with a suitcase, bound as if emigrating, hopped on a bus and dropped her passport. The couple glanced at each other and at the list, which included doing a good deed, and so they dashed to the airport to return the lost item. They split up in the vast terminal, and Jeong Hee-won, hearing sobs, ran over, found the girl, returned the passport, and received a squealing hug of thanks, while Kim Ram-woo watched proudly from afar. Finished, they wandered the airport, people watching, then sat to soak up some couple cringe, even reenacting the syrupy lines. Jeong Hee-won wondered whether, if Kim Ram-woo were still alive, they would be like that pair, which gave both of them goosebumps. Though Kim Ram-woo insisted he wouldn't be boring, he'd be patient. Jeong Hee-won, stunned by such largeness of heart, could not argue, though she thought it old-fashioned, and said talk was cheap, so they should try it for real. She wrote a new wish, to try many kinds of dates with Jam-gu. They walked hand in hand to the BL shelf at a bookstore, where reading wasn't enough, so Jam-gu bought a whole stack. Then they headed to a park to play the Catch the Ice Cream game, then put her palm on a machine to read her lines, which printed a very long lifeline, hardly matching reality. When Jam-gu looked glum at his own, Jeong Hee-won pulled out a pen and lengthened it for him. In the midst of this fun, Senior John Hun called, "Where are you? With whom? Want to watch fireworks on campus tonight?" When Jeong Hee-won showed no interest, she mentioned a famous band performing, but Jeong Hee-won flatly refused and quickly hung up, leaving John Hun stumped, blaming it all on that Reaper kid. Because when she had bumped into Jeong Hee-won, she had seen Kim Ram-woo, even seen him knock paintings off onto the paint shelf. While Jeong Hee-won prepped food, she'd sprinkled salt in a circle to ward off spirits, only for Kim Ram-woo to stroll in unharmed, bend down, and quip that if you were going to lay salt, you should at least use better stuff, sending John Hun shrieking away. Curious, Kim Ram-woo tailed the senior to test whether she could see him, and, after a bout of pretending blindness, she admitted it. But when he asked why she could see him, she icily said it was none of his business and told him to get lost, that she didn't want to know things better left unknown. Taking the hint, Kim Ram-woo bowed politely to leave, but John Hun called after him to ask why he clung to Haiwan. Jam-gu answered, "What do you think a Reaper comes for?" Then, eyeing a fireworks poster, added, "Fireworks are best with someone. Just think about who you want beside you." With Jeong Hee-won would be perfect. Because of that one line from the Reaper kid, John Hun went down to the school office to beg Hae-jung for Jeong Hee-won's home address, lying that Jeong Hee-won had joined a bulk buy for supplies and run off with the money. But since it was personal information, Hae-jung refused, adding that Jeong Hee-won had never been the communal living type anyway, so how would she join a bulk buy and flee? No matter how much John Hun pleaded, Hae-jung would not share. At the same time, the lovebird pair were sitting on the beach catching the breeze. Jeong Hee-won checked the wishes not yet done. See cherry blossoms, travel to Northern Europe, and contact Yoon Tae Kyung. After reading them, she said, "In the week I've been with you, I stopped having that dream. On the night of the meteor shower, when you and I parted for the last time, I dreamed only of your back walking away, and I knew something was wrong and ran after you. And when I reached to grab you, the one who turned around wasn't you. So last night I felt such relief that you didn't disappear. Kim Ram-woo nodded, understanding why Jung Hee-won had suddenly kissed him. She smiled and asked, "How will you disappear this time? Will we meet again?" Kim Ram-woo was about to answer when he saw her bag had vanished. Jung Hee-won yanked the Reaper boy up to chase the two thieves, who, unable to outrun them, dropped the loot and fled, leaving the pair laughing breathlessly from the sprint. Then they went back to watching the sunset, and Jung Hee-won asked how she would die. When his silence said enough, she understood she had chosen death herself, stood numbly, and said she hadn't thought she would make that decision and didn't know how to accept it. Kim Ram-woo answered that she knew perfectly well, if she didn't want to die, then live. He realized he had come to stop her from seeking death, that what she needed was an answer from him. "If you live, we wouldn't meet again, right?" Kim Ram-woo tried to dodge the question but finally said, "Right. We won't meet again. I'm already dead. You are alive and will go on living. Hold fast to the thought of living and live well." Jung Hee-won burst into tears, unable to accept it, believing that her desire to live came from a weak at Jang-goo's side. The Reaper boy took her hand and said, "Without me, you still can. I hope you live full of expectation, with your heart always racing over where you'll go next. I'll watch and listen for you in silence. What we live together won't disappear. You are both Jung Hee-won and Kim Jam-gu." She begged him not to vanish, but when she looked from the sunset back to him, he was gone without a trace. Jung Hee-won cried out in pain, promising to live well and be happy, yet soon collapsed, apologizing that she couldn't bear life without Kim Ram-woo. After a while, she took a bus home, stepped inside, and fell to the floor weeping again. That time she dreamed the same dream and still couldn't see Kim Ram-woo's face. She woke exhausted and sat up, slowly realizing she was always alone. Meanwhile, John Hun was likewise racked with worry, asking a junior when the fireworks would start. "Around 9 o'clock," he said. Her phone read 8 o'clock pages M, and when the student asked if she would come to the show, she refused. But he left details anyway. 10 o'clock by the railway. At the word railway, the scenes from her dream clicked into place, and John Hun realized Jung Hee-won must live nearby and ran to look. Meanwhile, Jung Hee-won tidied the apartment, carried the withered, potted plant from the window up to the roof, dropped it, and climbed the parapet, her suicide note already written and left inside, with nothing, she felt, left to hold her back. John Hun searched everywhere, guided by her dream, and, spotting Jung Hee-won on the rooftop, charged up the fire escape, and arrived just as she was about to jump. Calming herself to talk her down, he reminded her that the Reaper kid was hurting too. At Jam-gu's name, Jung Hee-won fired questions. John Hun soothed her, saying, "He said he wants to watch fireworks with you. If you die as you intend, everything ends, and the memories of your time together will vanish too." Jung Hee-won turned away, not wanting to hear it, but this time in the familiar vision, the one who turned back was Kim Ram-woo. The Reaper boy chose to take Jung Hee-won's hand so they could watch fireworks one last time, and as he spoke, the sky bloomed with light. Kim Ram-woo led her down to a lower spot, wrapped her from behind, and watched with her, and John Hun, thinking things were okay, slipped away. When the fireworks ended, Kim Ram-woo wiped Jung Hee-won's tears and said, "You put me through the ringer. You are both Jung Hee-won and Kim Ram-woo. Now you know saving yourself is saving me. Can I entrust this world to you now? I have to go, and someday we will meet again." He hugged her tight and spoke ZR name exactly 3 times in succession, and Jung Hee-won slowly closed her eyes to receive it. When she opened them, he was truly gone. From then on, her room was no longer gloomy. She decided to dye her father's hair black and texted her senior to go see cherry blossoms together. They sat on a lawn strewn with petals, and John Hun said that when someone disappears, they leave a hole exactly their shape. Though the memories remain intact, that loss is like that. The more you try not to remember, the clearer it gets. And spring after spring, it never ends. Jung Hee-won answered that you just live with that hole, keep it in a drawer, and take it out now and then, and things will be all right. John Hun smiled, returning the photo Jung Hee-won had dropped at the festival. Now, even though Kim Ram-woo had vanished, The traces of his existence kept finding Jung Hee-won like gifts. The grain of sand in a shoe, the group photo, the scribbles Jam-gu left in the yearbook. She had other gifts she made herself, like reconnecting with her best friend Yoon Tae Kyung and taking part in her college graduation show. At first she had no theme, but when she saw Kim Ram-woo's quirky handwriting, she built a body of work from those strokes and thereby mounted the performance art you see today. Just by looking at it and closing her eyes, Jung Hee-won could see herself and Kim Ram-woo hand in hand, happy beside each other. From now on, she would live well and always remember Jam-gu. Because for us, loving yourself also means loving the one you cherish. And the film ends here. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe to support us, and see you in the next videos.